1800s, there was a psychologist named William James. And William James said, people tend to become what they think about themselves. So I learned that we all have what I call selective amnesia. What we tend to remember is different. I could go into a game and I could shoot 9 out of 10. And when I left the gym, what do you think I was thinking about? I was thinking about the one I missed. Like, man, I should have had that one. That was an easy one. I blew that one, man. I missed that one. I should have had that one. The only things you're telling yourself day in and day out is, man, I really suck at that, or man, I blew that, or man, I really messed that one up. If those are the only things that you're telling yourself, then why are you surprised that you don't have any confidence? Why are you surprised that confidence is an issue? A guy like Rick Carlisle or Dawn Staley, they could go into a game and they could shoot 1 out of 10. And when they left the gym, what do you think they were thinking about? I know I missed those 9, but did you see that one? Man, that one was sweet. It was right in that guy's face. They were thinking about the one that felt good. They were thinking about the one that went in. When Taurasi was a freshman at UConn, they made it to the national championship game. She was a starter. She was a very good player. And in that national championship game, she shot 1 for 15 from the field. She was 0 for 11 from the three-point line. And she fouled out with about 3 minutes to go, and they lost in the national championship game. And I can remember watching that game on TV, and after Taurasi fouled out, they put the camera on her, and she was at the end of the bench just devastated, just literally sobbing at the end of the bench. Well, here's what she said about that game about 6 months later when the next season started. She said, I replayed the game in my mind that night, and I haven't thought about it since. Heck yeah, I was mad about it, but it happened. And then I moved on to the next challenge. So here's a player who in the biggest game of her life has probably the worst game of her life, and she thought about it that night, and she never thought about it again. She didn't spend the summer dwelling on how horrible she was in the national championship game and beating herself up for going 0 for 11 from the field and fouling out and them losing. I know if that had happened to me and to a lot of people, if they had the worst game of their life on the biggest stage of their life, man, I would have been beating myself up about that all summer. And I would have never forgotten that game. She thought about it that night. She allowed herself the luxury of forgetting past negative experiences. And then, by the way, she goes on and leads UConn to the next 3 national championships, becomes the first-round pick in the WNBA, plays on the U.S. Olympic team. Thought about it that night, never thought about it again. One of the big things that I learned from these confident and successful athletes is where they were putting their attention was very different from where I was putting my attention on a daily basis. What you do with your attention will determine the quality of your life. What you do with your attention will determine the quality of your basketball career. What you do with your attention will determine how confident you are or how confident you aren't. And there's a saying that says energy flows where attention goes. Wherever you choose, it's another time you could circle that word choose, wherever you choose to put your attention, you're going to get more of that. So for someone like me, my sophomore year, where all my attention was going on shots that I missed, how my shot felt when it wasn't feeling good when it left my hand, turnovers that I made, things that I did poorly on the court, all my attention was going to that. So what do you think I got more of? Of course I got more of that. Whereas these more successful athletes, where they were putting their attention was very different. And